How's it going? Questions?
Earlier today, Brad said that he was individual negotiations to bringing in new coaches and rebolstering all of that. So
Yeah.
what did that look like in that process, the patience, and why was it so important to have that?
Yeah, that's something that, look, I told, you know, I told Ben and AG the same thing when they were leaving, and it was the same thing I was told. The most important thing you'll do as a head coach is hiring your staff. And so I had to do that already one time, and then over the course of, the last 4 years, other coaches that have come and gone. And so this was the biggest, this is kind of the phase 2, man. This was to reload the coordinators and different position coaches. So I wanted to take my time and do it right. And so, I had a lot of interviews. A lot, and really sat them down, got to know them, kind of figured them out a little bit, what they take. The football is there, but it's really about the mesh, the chemistry. I'm big on that. So that was a big part of it, and I think we got it right. Go ahead. I know 24. Somebody told me it was 26, but a lot. Yeah, different. Yep.
You shifted the role of Scotty Montgomery to the receivers coach. What do you like about him in that role now?
Yeah, look, I think this is going to be great for us. Scotty's a huge asset for us, and what it does is, he's an excellent coach, all right, and so now he gets that whole receiver room and the pass game as well. He's going to be a huge part of our pass game, just like David Shaw is going to be. But he's going to have a huge impact. It's been run game, running backs now, and he's coaching more guys, and he'll have a big impact on the pass game.
And how about John and just went wide those choices? Why they checked all the boxes?
Yeah, I'll start on defense. Shep was somebody that I've always believed that Shep could be an outstanding coach. And about 2 years ago, I just felt like, man, this guy is he'll be ready to be a coordinator sooner than later. And so AG and I had talked about it and tried to give him more responsibility over the last 2 years. And with that in mind for him, man, this is the next step. This is the next step. Without telling him, nothing was ever promised. But, and man, I felt really good about that. Like, he's ready. He's ready. And the coaches that are in that room, Deshae Townsend and Jim O'Neill, Dave Correo, moving Ham, Sean Dion Hamilton, which was under Shep, to linebackers, and then getting Casey Rogers D-lineman. It's a veteran coaching staff that understand ball, and they're going to supplement him well. They're going to help. But he's ready. He's already, it's been great over the last, call it 3 or 4 weeks here. So felt really good about that. And then John Morton, I mentioned this before. We were together here in 22. I've been with him with the Saints. He was kind of part of the group when we put this thing together. He was a part of this, and so I felt like that was the best move for us, was to get him back here. Somebody that I have a lot of trust in, faith in, golf knows, comfortable with, and he's got a good rapport with Hank, Brew. And then adding the additions that we have with, obviously, David Shaw. Those two go way back, he and John Morton, which was big for us. Tyler Roll, young guy, Iowa State, running back coach, and then before that he was a coordinator out there at North Dakota State. So interviewed him 2 years ago, and I was close then. And then this year was the right year, and then to get Tashard Choice was big. I didn't know if we were going to be able to pull that off, but that's outstanding. He's going to be great for us. He's probably one of the most coveted running back coaches come out of college in a while. So he's going to be great for those guys in the running back room. Certainly he's got a rapport with Gibbs. I think Montgomery's going to like him and help those guys get better.
You said you wanted schematic continuity, philosophical continuity. What does he bring maybe a little bit different to the table than what he's given you?
Well, I think there's just a different viewpoint. I think, just in general, when you think about, I think, AG, I think, had a lot of perspective from the back end forward. And that's how a lot of those guys think, man. Everything, most of it does start with the coverage, and then how does it tie into the front? Because that's how it gets altered. You can't just put a front up there, and then if the coverage isn't right, it's easier to adjust the front to the coverage than vice versa. So whereas Shep's kind of got a little bit of both, man. He's that front seven, and then, you know, the back end doesn't mean it comes last. It's just I think there's a little bit more thought up front and inside than there is back there. And that's where Deshae and them are going to be great for him and help him out. And so it's just a little different perspective. And there'll be some things that we'll tweak that in the system that we have been running that we think are going to help us, help our guys. There's already been a couple of things that have come up. And that's just the nature of having different guys, right? You just kind of have a little different belief system. Doesn't mean, for example, we're not going to play man. It's just what kind of type of man are we going to play? What kind of leverage, or how is it going to start? That's all.
Dan, can you shed some?
No, I wouldn't read into that. That's just they were part of the process, and they were guys that they just happened to be like these guys that played quarterbacks instead of some other position. But man, sitting down with both of those guys, you know, I was blown away, man. They were, you know, I always think of it no different than players. Like those guys belong to us. You know, they belong with us. That's how I felt with those interviews with Tuiasa Sopo and Gradkowski. Both was like, man, these guys, they belong here, man. They ought to be with us, because I can just see they're going to take off. I think they're going to be really good coaches for us. You know, I think right now Bruce will be working in the receiver room with Scotty, helping him out, and then Marcus will be in there with Brew in the quarterback room helping him out. So I just love it, man. I think it's good. You know, you got your guys, and then you got your guys coming off the bench, and I love our guys coming off the bench too. So it's going to be good.
Why do you come to the combine?
Talking to you.
With Terrell Williams, what type of coach? How would you describe what type of coach the Patriots are?
He's an outstanding teacher, great human being, somebody that's team first, hard worker. I think he's got a good vision for what he wants to do, and certainly I know, you know, what Vrabel's going to want to do out there. They've worked together. He's just top notch. Like that was the hardest thing, is that, man, I got Terrell, and then a year later he's gone. You know, he just comes in. You know, I was fortunate to get Casey Rogers here after that, but they're going to be very happy with him, man. He's an outstanding. He's one of the best D-line coaches in the league, if not the best. He and Casey, I think, are 1 and 2. And what I would say is formal interviews and talking to you.
With Aaron Glenn, what kind of evolution have you seen him come over 4 years as kind of a CEO? He's given off that vibe of a CEO.
Yeah, Aaron Glenn. Yeah, well, I mean, he's been the CEO of our defense, you know, and I think there's a number of things that for that whole time, he's been somebody that I've bounced a lot of things off of. I go in there and we talk about, man, I'll tell him a number of things that come up within the off season, during the season, pertains to rules, roster, could be the cap, it could be game situations. So this is not going to be something that's new to him. Like he'll be going to be ready for this. He's going to be like anybody else. He's going to have to learn on the fly, and there'll be things that you're not going to know what you don't know until you're in it. But he's going to do phenomenal, man. AG's a superstar. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know everybody that he's hired, but I know probably half of them, and they're all really good coaches. I think he's built an outstanding coaching staff from the guys that I know personally. Certainly, I worked with DA, Dan Roshar, number of guys over there that I think are really good coaches. And so, look, it's it'll be different to see him over there on the other sideline since he's been on ours for 4 years. You know, that'll be different, but that's the way this game works. You know, somebody's got to be on our sideline, somebody's going to be on the other, and you play to win.
You said about not hiring his friends was part of his philosophy. Is that something that you did?
Yeah, I think it's you're fortunate if you can find the right guy that happens to be your friend. I don't think that's the easiest thing. If you can, good for you, man. That's awesome because it's somebody you really know, you can trust, they're competent, and they can coach. You know, those don't always go hand in hand. I think the worst thing you can do is just hire your buddy. But he's not real good at what he does, whatever that is. And no knock on anybody else, I'm just saying. So I think it's important you get the right guys. And they're about ball, and they're going to see it the way you see it.
Shed some light on John Morton's contributions to 2022 and what was doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, there again, he was one of the pivotal pieces of helping us put this together, this offense originally for golf, with golf. And so that was big, but then also, man, there were so many things that during the game plan, man, weeks of game plan, the ideas that he had in the pass game going into weeks, getting ready for the opponents, was big for us. A lot of things we use, man. He's a guy who he does not lack ideas ever. And so he's very creative in that regard. He's a grinder, man. He's an unbelievable hard worker. Day of the game, same thing, man. He's going into, you know, I mean, you're talking about 4 hours before the game, 5 hours. He's going through all these tendencies, ideas. He's just trying to give, all right, Ben may need these thoughts, you know, and so he's got, hey, I think this is what he's going to do. I'd do this. I think this is, so he was ready, man. He constantly always had thoughts on what I would call, what I would do, you know, kind of one step ahead. And so that's a lot of it. Yeah, I mean, that's hard, right? It's hard. It's hard because you know, you hate to lose guys. You hate to lose guys, especially when you feel like they've been with you and you're trying to help them and develop them, and then you feel like, you know, they go somewhere else. But it's also, I also know the flip side of that is if you don't have that position to give, or you don't feel like you can, then man, that's a hard pill to swallow, to say no, then you can't go. You stay in the spot you're at, even though you were offered this or a promotion of some sort. You know, that's hard. So I'm not big on blocking. I've done it, but I'm not big on it. I would like to have guys to have opportunities, but you know, but yeah.
What kind of expertise did you see from Ben in terms of getting input on personnel?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a good eye for what he's looking for, and guys that he thinks can play a certain role for us. I think he and I saw things very much alike, so that helps. But yeah, he's got a good eye for those things. I mean, he's certainly, he didn't lack input on players that he liked or what he saw or what he thought they could do. I mean, he was just like anybody else on our staff, man. If they've got a vision for a guy and they believe in it, then, you know, speak up. And he was one of those guys that did.
Coach, last two questions. Coach, what do you think it is about such your choice? Whenever you think about choice, was a guy you said was one more coveted running back than the coaches? What are you guys getting at? Did it feel good stealing from him?
Yeah, look, I just think that he, well, stealing, that's a strong word. I think that, you know, he's somebody that has done a really good job developing backs wherever he's been. You know, and there's a number of things that come up when you start talking about these backs, this style, this, and his name starts coming up. And 2 years ago, I know that he was somebody that was on my radar, and it didn't work out. It was all good. But there again, this is kind of everything comes back around, and it just felt like this was right. So I think he's really good at what he does. He's gifted. He's played the position. He's coached it in college. So he understands our level of it. There again, he understands Gibbs. He's coached him, so that helps. I think he's going to be great for David Montgomery as well. That's big. I just think he's going to bring a lot to us.
As a competitor, John, as a competitor, kind of happy with
No, I don't. I'm not getting into all that. You know, I mean, look, I it's no different than anything else. We line up and we play to win no matter who's over there. I mean, and so, you know, listen, he's still my friend, and I love him dearly, but, you know, we're going to have to play him twice a year. Yeah, look, Casey. When I was a player in Dallas, he was our assistant D-line coach. So that was the first time I had met him, and you know, and then I coached with him at the Miami Dolphins. You know, so I've seen him coach. I know what he's like. I know what the D-line's like with him coaching them. And so I've always thought really highly of him. You know, I was fortunate to coach with he and Terrell. So when I knew there was a chance to get him, he was going to be available, it just made sense. I think he's going to be great for our D-line. I think Hutch and those guys are going to really like him, gravitate to him. And man, he's one of us, you know. I mean, he's about doing it the right way, hard worker, sees the game well, understands scheme really well, and, man, he knows the fundamentals and grinds on those guys.
Dan, I could ask you, a couple draft questions. What are your early thoughts on the defensive lineman in this draft class? And two, a lot of people are talking about Travis Hunter. And I think that's playing two positions. Do you think a player of his athletic prowess or any player can potentially play offense and defense in the NFL?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I'm not even that far. You know, this is just the beginning of this for me, is getting these guys, talking to them in a formal. I haven't been able to grind on the tape yet to give you an opinion on that, but this is kind of the first step in all that.
Do you have any, before you go, thoughts on what you love college and free agency, or what you guys need to do just to take that next step forward?
Yeah. Yep. All right, you guys have a good one.